Welcome into the show, everybody. My name is Mark Farzy. This is the Farzy Show presented by Steven Singer of Steven Singer Jewelers. I don't think there has ever been a more ice-cold take in Philadelphia, more so than what I'm about to tell you. We have been wrong about prospects. We've been wrong about teams. We've been wrong about umpires or officials, referees, whatever you want to call them. We've been wrong about that. We've had piping hot takes and piping cold takes on many different people throughout the war, throughout the entire Philadelphia sports scene over the years, throughout the entire sports world throughout the years. But I don't know if there was ever a colder take than the no one cares about the Kelly Green crowd. Yesterday proved that incredibly wrong. 3:30 in the morning, 3:15 in the morning, people lining up outside the pro shop at Lincoln Financial Field to make sure they got in and were among the first to get in there to buy these incredible jerseys from the Philadelphia Eagles, these gorgeous Kelly Green jerseys. And I got to reference this because I thought he had the best line. My buddy Ryan Lawrence, former Phillies beat writer, I just tweeted out, I quote tweeted Adam Schefter's tweet. Now, Shefty is tweeting about how Philadelphia Eagles fans are waiting outside Lincoln Financial Field at like 3:30 in the morning just to make sure they get their hands on these jerseys. I'm on the first to get their hands on these jerseys. And I retweet that and I just say, I love us. And I do. I absolutely love us. You know, this fan base as the, I don't know if the kids say it anymore, but they used to. This fan base hits different. All right. We just love, as Allen Iverson said, we love too hard, man. We love too hard. And you know what? The fans, they wanted them Kelly Greens back. And man, did they flood the store to make sure they got those Kelly Green jerseys. And as Ryan Lawrence said, you know what? When you're old enough to already have a Kelly Green jersey, you don't need to wait in line at 3:30 in the morning to make sure that you get your hands on the jersey. I loved seeing how passionate the fans were about that jersey. I have one question for you. Why that jersey? I saw my man Eric Emanuel do an interview yesterday, and he said that it was the first color that a lot of Eagles fans of like our generation were exposed to. Many generations were exposed to that. Your grandfather, your dad, or your mom, everybody, they were exposed to that first before they were exposed to the midnight green, obviously. But was it just the simple nostalgia of this is the team this is the color that I first discovered this team with? Whatever it is, I love it. It's beautiful color, first and foremost. And we've been longing for that color. You know what yesterday we got as well? With it going on sale, and I was really going to be pissed if the Eagles decided not to release this at the same time. But to their credit, they did the right thing. They did release that they are going to wear the Kelly Green uniforms for 2 home games. They're going to wear it October 22nd when they host the Dolphins, and they're going to wear it November 26th. So October 22nd versus the Dolphins and November 26th against the Bills. That is 2 times this season you'll be seeing the Eagles don the Kelly Green. The October 22nd game against the Dolphins is a primetime game, and the Bills game is, I believe, a 4:05 game against the Buffalo Bills. So that's at least when we know they'll be wearing that jersey, which is a beautiful thing. For me, it is the first color that I remember watching the Eagles wear, of course, because I was born before, 1996, right? And I just think there is so much history attached to that. Generations, from the 40s on, just watching this team wear that Kelly Green jersey. And to see the fans so amped to reconnect with their childhood and get it in a new brand, Jalen Hurts' name on the back, Jordan Mailata's name on the back, just all the different names, Jason Kelsey, Lane Johnson, all the different names you can get. And it is absolutely incredible to see fans that excited about it, about a retro jersey coming back after long overdue, if you ask me. We'll also talk about the Phillies today. And we'll, of course, talk about what's going down at training camp now going into day 4 of training camp. Later on today, Brian Johnson will address the media. Also later on today, now John McMullen from Burns 365, for those watching the Farzy Show here on the Jacob Media YouTube channel. My man John McMullen will be at training camp, of course, for his beat writing responsibilities. So he'll be over there. I'll be sliding into his chair with Jody McDonald at 8:30 today. And then we'll be joined by, on that show, my old pal, Glenn McDowell. He'll be joining the show to talk all things Eagles on Birds 365 at 9:20 this morning. So don't miss that as well after the Farzy show. We'll also get into the training camp battles where we stand right now. Reed Blankenship versus the field, Sidney Brown, Terrell Edmonds. We'll also get into Kobe Dean, how he's faring at the middle linebacker position right now with the Eagles. Apparently a great communicator. That's the buzzword now, communicator. With some new faces or old faces in new roles, young faces in new roles of bigger positions of power, bigger positions of influence. Now looked at to be, key guys, not just rookies breaking in anymore. Those guys in the big positions, asked to do a lot, asked to take a step forward. Communication is key. We'll talk about that buzzword a little bit later on in the show. The Phillies, ladies and gentlemen, I want to start at the end. Let's start at the end. The Phillies occupy the second wild card spot right now. The Marlins, the Diamondbacks, and the Brewers all tied for that final wild card spot. It goes the Giants, a half game up on the Phillies. The Phillies, a half game up on everybody else. And then it's all of a sudden, the Chicago Cubbies, 3.5 games out of wild card contention. They decide they're buyers. San Diego Padres, 5 games out, and the New York Metropolitans sell. 6 games out of a wild card spot. That's where we are at. The MLB trade deadline, of course, is at 6 p.m. today. There is one quote from Dave Dombrowski that is living rent-free in my head, and it is on repeat. It is on loop. And it's the phrase, maybe we don't go outside the organization. One thing, fans never really want to hear is the idea of staying in-house. Like, you feel like you could solve the problem yourself. And although that might be the case, I don't really know if it is when it comes to this Philadelphia Phillies team. Now, I've seen some of the names that they're attached to here. Okay, let's go right here to this. Last night after the Phillies game, like right after the Phillies game, John Morrissey. And this is what I was asking for, by the way. Yesterday I said, don't just tell me teams that have right-handed bats and then tell me that the Phillies also happen to be looking for a right-handed bat. I need direct correlation. And according to John Morrissey of the MLB Network, he put it out there last night, Mariners and Teoscar Hernandez is drawing interest from half a dozen teams. And a trade is increasingly likely before the 6 p.m. deadline today. Not tomorrow, but now today. The Phillies, the Blue Jays, and Giants are among the clubs that have been involved in those conversations. Okay. So let's get into this. I don't get it. He's a one-time All-Star, and that was 2 seasons ago. He leads the league in strikeouts. He's batting .238 with a .288 on-base percentage. That's what he's bringing to the table. Now, that could be that it's just a down year for him. He's having career horrible numbers if you look up and down the board. But for the majority of his career, he has not been a great on-base percentage guy. For the majority of his career, he's a .315 on-base percentage. That's what he has for his career. He's a .258 hitter. He has hit with pop in his career, and he does have 16 home runs. And yes, he can play the outfield. I understand that Dave Dombrowski said a couple of weeks ago, 13 days ago, as a matter of fact, that maybe they don't go out of the house. Maybe they stay in-house. Maybe they solve the problem within the organization. And that problem with the right-handed bat in the outfield would be Johan Rojas, who did come up with a pretty clutch AB last night, a 2-run double to tie things up for the Phillies, which was great to see. But if they're going to go out there and get some more pop, which this lineup does need, Hernandez is an interesting name, and I do not think it's going to cost you a lot. So the only problem here is half a dozen teams. There are going to be 6 teams out there looking to outdo you, so you're, of course, going to have to outdo them if this is really a name you want to go after. This trade for me isn't a wow me trade. This isn't they're going to the series, baby. It's not that type of trade. It's you improve. I think you improve. The idea would be that Johan Rojas and Brandon Marsh would then become your platoon center fielders, and that Hernandez would most likely become your everyday left fielder, or at least whenever you have Kyle Schwarber not as a or when you have Kyle Schwarber as your designated hitter and you have Bryce Harper as your first baseman, which I'm hoping is more than what we have seen so far. But that's where the Phillies are at right now as far as any rumors go. There's names that are out there. There are names that, of course, off the board. If you haven't been following the bouncing ball, A.J. Pollock, right-handed bat, outfielder, goes from Seattle to San Francisco. Mark Canha, a name we mentioned yesterday, goes from the Mets to the Brewers. We also said this yesterday. Randall Grichuk goes from the Rockies to the Angels and hit a home run in his first game with the Halos. Other names that are still out there, Lane Thomas, still available to a 285 batting average, a 333 on-base percentage, can hit with a little bit of pop as well. And Tommy Pham. Now, I'm not kidding when I say this, and I'm not saying this is a source, and I'm not saying get excited. But my phone was going off a little bit last night with Twitter notifications, and I always do that, of course, especially around trade deadlines. And wouldn't you know it, it went off a couple of times last night, and I don't know if that just put it in my brain. I didn't check it at the time. I looked at it. I didn't see any names that I really were after. I saw it was follow-ups from other tweets, right? Other trades that had already gone through that I knew about. And what popped into my brain was that the Phillies were getting Tommy Pham. It wasn't that the tweet came out that the Phillies were getting Tommy Pham. It was just that it just popped in my head. And I went on to then dream that the Phillies got Tommy Pham and he had a game-winning hit for the Phillies. That's what I dreamed last night. I'm not even kidding you. That's what happened. So per my subconscious sources, we get Tommy Pham, ladies and gentlemen. Now, that would be slightly more exciting than Hernandez, for instance. Slightly more exciting. The idea of trading with the Mets does make me want to vomit. But hey, whatever helps the ball club, right? Whatever helps the ball club. So that's where we're at trade deadline day, 6 p.m. tonight. Let's get into last night's ball game. Couple of things. A little worried about Taijuan Walker in the early goings. I want to kind of, in other sports, we could say the tale of two halves kind of thing. It kind of felt like that with this game last night. In particular, the velocity of Taijuan Walker was not good, and that had me worried. And then it also had me worried, a 415-foot home run by Jorge Soler. A 2-run home run, as a matter of fact, off of Taijuan Walker. So the velocity wasn't really good. He wasn't really popping the mitt last night. And then to give up that bomb of a home run, it got me a little bit more worried. You're out of the first inning, and you're down 2-0. Also, Bryson Stott having a horrendous at-bat, or I should say a horrendous 2 swings to end a 3-1 at-bat. The 3-1 count, he then tries to check a swing, can't, and then flails at a ball in the dirt, and it was the worst 2 swings I've seen from Bryson Stott all year. And then Taijuan Walker gives up the 2-run home run and you're down 2-0. Then what happened in the next 2 innings was insanely frustrating. And it was insanely frustrating, especially knowing that Rob Thompson had addressed the team after the Pirates game, after the Game 3 of the Pirates. And he said, look, I've seen championship teams. We were obviously in a World Series last year. The way we're playing right now, this ain't it, fellas. This is not how a championship team plays. And Rob Thompson supposedly leaned into the team a little bit. He sent a message to the team a little bit. He did what any fan would want him to do in this particular situation. So good for Rob Thompson for actually doing it. 2 months left in the season. Yeah, you better get after it. 2 months and change left in the season. You better get after it. And he did. So the team went out there and responded to their manager, who did have a nice little lineup for himself last night, having Alec Boehm batting out of the 2-hole. That was great. And Nick Castellanos sitting on the bench for a much-needed day off. So let's cross our fingers that that's exactly what Nick Castellanos needs to get back into the fray and return to first-half form, okay? So Stott has that bat at bat. Walker, velo is down for whatever reason, said after the game that he felt fine, went on, of course, to pitch 6 2/3, and everything was great. But let's go into that second inning, shall we? Edward Cabrera is pitching for the Marlins, and he cannot throw a strike to save his life. You go into that second inning, Turner walks, laid off 2 pitches in the dirt. Good for Trey Turner. Brandon Marsh works a walk. Oh, my goodness gracious, runners at first and second, nobody out. They call time. They have a mound conference. Jake Cave. Now, certain people in a lineup, they could jump on a first pitch fastball. You know, they could be looking fastball after a couple of walks, and they could belt that ball out of the park, or they could slap it in a gap. Then they can, get a home run, a 3-run home run, whatever it might be. You know who I really don't have confidence in? Don't give me minor league numbers. You know who I don't have confidence in doing that? A Jake Cave. All right? So Jake Cave decides, while he goes out there to take his hack in this case, to swing at the first pitch after he's thrown about 16 strikes in 36, 40 pitches, whatever the hell it was at that point in the game after he just walked 2 guys. Jake Cave goes up to the batter's box, swings at a low first pitch, by the way, grounds into the 6-4-3 double play. First and second, nobody out. Runner on third, 2 outs. Johan Rojas then goes to the plate. He swings at literally every pitch. 4-pitch strikeout for Johan Rojas. Somebody make this make sense to me. You walk the first 2 batters, and then you go up there after that and start hacking? That doesn't make any damn sense. Bottom of the order guys, flip the lineup over. Get Schwarber. Schwarber hasn't been great, but I'd rather have him at the plate than, Jake Cave. I'd rather have him at the plate than Johan Rojas. I'd rather flip that lineup over. Oh, and then guess what? If you walk Kyle Schwarber, you have an opportunity there to, pitch to Alec Boehm. And you're not going to, you're going to try to at least throw to Kyle Schwarber and not walk him. But I love the idea of putting Alec Boehm up in that spot. Jake Cave's double play kind of killed that. Then you go into the third inning. Schwarber leads off that inning, grounding out the first. Boehm then works a walk. Harper then gets a single. Real Muto steps up to the plate during a wild pitch taking place, unfortunately, during that time as well. He ends up striking out, and Stott lines out to left field. Another opportunity there squandered. It wasn't until the 4th inning, of all people, Trey Turner starting it off, getting that single to left field. Then Marsh works another walk. Cabrera finally gets taken out of the ball game. Okert comes in. Cave gets the sack bunt, which was on his own, by the way. That was not a play that was on from the dugout. Rob Thompson said after the game that was all Jake Cave just sacrificing himself to move the runners. He didn't do it in his first at-bat. I guess wanted to make sure that he did it in his second at-bat. So he lays down the bunt. You get second and third with 1 out. Johan Rojas puts a 2-run double into left field, into the left field corner. It's now a 2-2 ball game. Schwarber strikes out. Boehm grounds out to third. And from that point on, Taijuan Walker held down the fort. And then you go into the 7th inning. Kyle Schwarber leads off with a walk. Boehm gets a double to right field. You have second and third, no outs. Harper grounds out to third. Real Muto gets intentionally walked. Bases loaded. Bryson Stott, ladies and gentlemen, with a 2-2 ball game. He steps up to the plate, gets a sac fly to left field. Schwarber scores from third, and then Turner, unfortunately, grounds into the 2-1 putout. It's a 3-2 ball game after the top of the 7th inning. Going to the bottom of the 7th inning, Wendell comes in the ball game. He takes a bat. He lines out to Alec Boehm at third. Segura grounds out to second. Fortes then gets a single to center field. Taijuan Walker then leaves the game after 6 2/3, surrendering 6 hits and just 2 earned runs. Walker's out. Strom comes in. Arise comes in and gets a single. He gets a single off of everybody, so it is what it is, but it goes right up the middle. So they got 2 runners on the base paths in a 1-run ball game, and Strom wins a battle against Soler, flying out to center field. After that, Alec Boehm comes up with a 10-pitch at bat in the 8th inning, ladies and gentlemen. And he wins that 10-pitch battle by depositing an RBI single into right field, gives the Phillies a 4-2 ball game. Then in the bottom of the 9th inning, Craig Kimbrell comes on for the save, and he gets that his 18th save of the season. Phillies win 4-2. After the game, Alec Boehm was talking to the broadcast crew, and I think it was Rob Thompson who came out, or excuse me, it was Tom McCarthy who asked the question about what Rob Thompson had to say to the team after losing 2-3 to Pittsburgh. And he said, you've heard it from the high school level, you heard it at the college level, and now you're hearing it at the professional level. What did you make of Rob Thompson's stern message to the team? It was something delivered kind of like that. And Alec Boehm, without missing a beat, goes, yeah, well, we earned it. And I'm like, yeah, every Phillies fan knows that you earned it. The way they played in Pittsburgh was terrible. The way they go into this game, 10 walks, ladies and gentlemen. 10 walks. And the Phillies were able to muster 4 runs out of that. One was on a sac fly. They really had to squeeze everything they could out of this. But they made sure to at least win this game. It wasn't pretty. It wasn't comfortable. Phillies found a way to win against a team that going into last night, they were 4-2 against. Excuse me, 2-4 against. Marlins were 4-2 against them. Phillies 2-4 against the Marlins. Now they're 3-4 against the Marlins. Now they're a half game up on the Marlins in the wild card standings. This is a game the Phillies desperately needed. Taijuan Walker after the game. You've seen him hit 95. You've seen him hit 96, right? 91, 92 mile per hour fastballs. He started relying on the splitter more than anything, which is fine. That's his like put out pitch, but he needs other pitches to set that splitter up. He needs to be able to throw with some velocity, some heat, maybe up in the zone before that splitter comes dropping in. So him struggling the way he was in this game definitely had me concerned, as I said. But after the game, when they caught up with him, he said, yeah, I felt fine. I can't explain it. And I know I've told you guys before, and maybe you already know this, the dead arm period some pitchers go through where they don't have their best stuff, but they gut through and all that stuff. We said that certainly many times about other pitchers. But Taijuan Walker has been a guy that's been very consistent for you throughout this season. Really since June, he's been one of your more consistent pitchers. He's had some bumps in the road, but in terms of really being desperate for consistency, this has been one of your more consistent guys. And I know wins in baseball, especially for a pitcher, they could be fickle. See Christopher Sanchez, okay? But Taijuan Walker becomes the first 12-win pitcher in the National League. So he's been giving you consistency. He's been giving you innings. And the Phillies, for the most part, have been giving him support. 12 wins for Taijuan Walker. If you would have told me at this point in the season he'd be your leader in wins, I would have said that is bonkers. But sure enough, here we are. Phillies could be going after another arm at the deadline. They could try to bolster their rotation. The Phillies could go after a bullpen arm, try to help out their bullpen a little bit, depending on what's going on with Jose Alvarado, depending on what exactly is going on with Seranthony Dominguez. Maybe he needs to work out the bugs. I don't know. But Phillies are going to make some kind of move. It's just a question of how big it's going to be. If it's going to be significant or this is going to be something to help us platoon. Bottom line is, before this trade deadline at 6 o'clock today, the bottom line that I see, how I see it for the Phils is it's going to be a small move, and whoever does come in is going to be playing in a somewhat part-time role. As long as Bryce Harper is only a part-time first baseman, as long as Bryce Harper is a 3 to maybe 4 times a week first baseman, then you're going to be looking at Kyle Schwarber as a platoon guy, as a designated hitter. You're going to be looking at the left. I should say you'd be looking at the left field spot as a platoon position. You can be looking at the center field spot as a platoon position. That doesn't make a hell of a lot of sense to me. If you have Bryce Harper who's able to play first base, 3 to 4 times a week is not enough. I got to see that at least 5. That's what I think the Phillies need. And that's a hell of an acquisition, by the way. Maybe Yohan Rojas is the perfect complement. But you know what? When Christian Pache was healthy, he was hitting. He was playing some great defense as well. Bottom line is I saw that home run or saw that hit from Yohan Rojas last night. I thought, okay, that's perfect timing. It's great to see that. I did have the feeling a couple of weeks ago when he did debut that it could be just a showcase. Maybe they are looking to trade him. Who knows? But we'll find out at 6 p.m. tonight, by 6 p.m. tonight, as to where the Phillies stand. That just popped in my head as well. Tommy Pham plays in tonight's game. That's what happened in my dream. Tommy Pham played in tonight's game. I don't think that's possible, but that at least popped into the old noggin last night. Something else. I didn't expect Rob Thompson to say this after last night's game, but he said it. He was asked about Alec Boehm batting second more often. Is that a spot you could see him in more? And Rob Thompson said, oh, for sure. He didn't give you the typical, we got to talk to the guys and, we got to figure it out. We got to look at, he didn't say, it's under review, basically. Like give you a non-answer. He was like, oh, yeah, for sure. So maybe tonight, 6:40 start time, maybe game 2 of this 4-game series against the Marlins, we see Alec Boehm batting second again tonight. Maybe we see that. Maybe we see Nick Castellanos bat cleanup. Maybe. Now, look, I know a lot of people are going to jump on the Kyle Schwarber thing. The Kyle Schwarber thing isn't changing. He's your leadoff hitter. That's like the one definitive thing Rob Thompson has said. Kyle Schwarber is the leadoff hitter. So, Schwarber, Bohm, Harper, Castellanos, Stott, Real Muto, Turner. That's probably the way you're going to have it work. I'm fine with that. That's the next best thing. If you're not going to move Bryson Stott up to the leadoff spot, and you're going to have Kyle Schwarber continue to be your leadoff spot, and that's pretty much the only thing written in stone about this lineup, that he's going to be your leadoff hitter. Well, then Bohm batting second is I think a great compromise. I think Bryce Harper then batting third, great compromise. I mean, that's not even a compromise. That's his spot. Maybe that's the second thing written in stone in this Phillies lineup. And then Castellanos batting cleanup in a spot that he's been batting the vast majority of the season. So it's not even a demotion anymore for Nick Castellanos. If I'm Rob Thompson, I'm chalking up the lineup. Alec Bohm bats second tonight. Nick Castellanos returns to the lineup batting cleanup. Bryson Stott batting fifth behind Castellanos. I think that's the perfect way to play it. By the way, I mentioned JT Realmuto. Did you see JT Realmuto right now has a hole in his hand. That can't be good. In his throwing hand, nonetheless. Odd. They said on the broadcast maybe it was a blister that popped. It looked like it. If you've ever had a blister, it was like the perfect circle type deal. But I think we would have heard about a blister on his hand, maybe, especially if it was throwing it. So I found that to be interesting. But damn, he lifts on his hand. First off, they get the footage of him sliding into second base. He looks at his hand. He's like, ah. Yeah, hopefully he's just okay. Hopefully he's fine and dandy. So the Phillies will be back at it tonight. We'll get more into that in our morning rush segment, but I will tell you, Ranger Suarez gets the start for the Phillies this evening. Let's talk some NFL. Let's talk some Philadelphia Eagles, ladies and gentlemen. Actually, before we do that, let's just say this. It was a lot of fun to watch the practice highlight of Dak Prescott throwing an interception. That'll never get old to me. That'll be enjoyable. That'll be fun. That'll always be a good time. Today, the acclimation process stops for the Philadelphia Eagles. Getting that by way of our friend John McMullen. They can put the pads on now if they want to. They won't. But or at least they might have the pads on. They might not hit. They're going to wait for their joint practices probably before anything physical happens. But the Eagles are 3 days in. I was reading some articles there from John McMullen, from Jimmy Kempski, from Jeff McClain, about what was going down at practice. And, of course, we've been listening to the press conferences and the players address the media. And I feel like they've really given us a good window into what's going on, aside from just like watching practice highlights or lowlights or watching a live feed or anything like that. But one thing that I keep hearing is this word communication. And we talked about it with Jason Kelsey, talking about Brian Johnson. And Brian Johnson will address the media today, so more communicating from him. But he's a great communicator, and he certainly picked that up from everybody in the building. Everyone's on the same page. Everyone's having great communication. On the field, Nakobe Dean at linebacker is getting rave reviews for his communication. Nicholas Morrow has left a lot to be desired in pass coverage, as he's competing for one of the starting linebacker spots. Christian Ellis has really caught some eyes. I know some people in our chat have been really excited about what Christian Ellis could bring to the table, so that's interesting. But Nakobe Dean is the guy I'm watching because he, to me, is a unknown impact player. And what I mean by that is if he's going to be a starter, I think as of right now, he's just starting middle linebacker. Is he going to be status quo? Is he going to be better than TJ Edwards? And TJ Edwards turned himself into a pretty good linebacker. Or is he going to be a bust? Those are the three questions. And it's an impact position, getting an opportunity to be a starting linebacker on this team. So all we can really tell at this point for a linebacker, who, of course, is not allowed to make hits. But at this point, I just want to know that he belongs. I want to know that he's got a master of the defense, that he has a loud voice, and he is communicating as the defense's signal caller. And after the third day of practice, he was addressing the media, and he was talking about how important that communication is and how it's got to become second nature and how everyone's got to be able to listen and hear their middle linebacker make the right calls. They got to listen to the linebacker, make shifts. They got to listen to the linebacker, do all the things that a defense needs from a signal caller, a quarterback of the defense. Last year, he was not a linebacker. He was a special teamer, despite a handful of reps there at the linebacker position. It's a quiet impact position. We don't know what we're going to get. It's an unknown impact position. He's almost, you can look at it as an X factor. How good can he be at the linebacker spot? Was last year waiting in the wings worth it to learn everything he needed to learn? Now he's got a new defensive coordinator. He's got new terminology he's got to learn. How is he going to handle this responsibility? As of right now, it seems like everything is going swimmingly. You can't tell a lot from shorts and shells. You can't tell a lot from 3 days of training camp. But you will be able to tell a hell of a lot more when you have your open practices. Or excuse me, when you have your joint practices. And that's what I'm looking forward to. That's when I think you're really going to get an understanding of what's going on. Today, when Brian Johnson addresses the media, I am really curious to hear how he is handling his promotion now that he's got a couple of practices under his belt. And that goes beyond communication. That's not about a meeting room. That's about how he's helping Nick Sirianni call an offense in practice. That's about how he's getting his feet wet by calling practices. That's just dipping your toes in the pool of play calling. I want to know how he's handling that. Look, you can easily file it under what's he going to say, but there's been plenty of things that have been said so far in this preseason that go above and beyond a simple compliment or go above and beyond, oh, yeah, we feel comfortable with this, that, and the other. Whenever I hear, oh, yeah, we feel comfortable, that's the bare minimum. That is the bare minimum. Whenever I hear a coach talk about a specific player, that's the bare. Oh, no, we feel comfortable. We feel comfortable with what we have. Comfortable. Okay, you're not raving. But when I hear what I have heard from Brian Johnson so far to this point, or what I've heard from Sean Desai when he addressed the media last week, or I hear it from Nakobe Dean or Nick Sirianni, when I hear that, I am in, man. When I hear them talk about guys is like with glowing reviews, that goes above and beyond. Because then if you're just making stuff up, if you're just trying to build a guy up, then you're building up a guy's confidence, and maybe it shouldn't be built up as much as it is. Maybe that guy should be a little bit more uncomfortable about his job. So listening to them have these rave reviews, and I mentioned yesterday, like Fletcher Cox talking about Jordan Davis, talking about Jalen Carter and how conditioning isn't an issue, or Jason Kelsey talking about Jalen Carter or Jordan Davis or guys like that. Really rave reviews, or even people talking about Nolan Smith just really having a knack for getting behind the line of scrimmage. It's rave reviews. It's not, oh, yeah, well, we feel comfortable with these guys. We'll know more, of course, during the joint practices. But as of right now, it's off to a flying start. Couple other position battles I wanted to mention here. I said Quez Watkins was going to win himself that third wide receiver job. This is not me spiking a football, but if there was a way to be ahead at this point, by all accounts, Quez Watkins is the number 3 wide receiver. It's his job to lose, and as of right now, he has only more solidified the idea that it's his job as opposed to losing it to Zacchaeus at this point. So I'm rooting for Quez. Keep it coming, Quez. Keep it coming. Reed Blankenship. Now, I mentioned this before. Our friend Derek Gunn was on this very show last week, and he talked about the possibility of the Philadelphia Eagles going with Terrell Edmonds and going with Sidney Brown. Reed Blankenship's job, not set in stone. So far, throughout this training camp, he has been your starting, I'll call it strong safety. He's been your starting strong safety next to Terrell Edmonds. So it looks like as of right now, the depth chart is as anticipated, with your 1 and 2 safeties being Terrell Edmonds and being Reed Blankenship, with Sidney Brown possibly taking over at some point as the season creeps on. So I found that to be interesting. This is, again, very early days of training camp, and this is just where they lie. Right after that, I also found this interesting. The right guard spot. Going into training camp, I said this was going to be one of the things I was going to be looking at. Tyler Steen hasn't even gotten reps yet with the ones. Like, the starting unit is Cam Jurgens. Cam Jurgens is right up there. Tyler Steen, who, of course, as we know, is a tackle that the Eagles drafted and announced at the draft as a guard, has just been the backup. You asked me before training camp even started, and I say, you asked me who's starting right guard for the Philadelphia Eagles in the upcoming season. Cam Jurgens. But this Tyler Steen thing is interesting. And I go back to OTAs and Lane Johnson talking about, both these guys have come in and they've played great. Both? What the hell? What do you mean both? This is Cam Jurgens' job, right? So here's where we're at. And I said this even before training camp started. This whole battle, I think, will tell you something about Jason Kelce. It could be nothing. It could be something. But if Cam Jurgens wins the job, then that gives me more confidence that Jason Kelce isn't planning on retiring within, at the end of the season. Because if Jason Kelce really hinted to the Eagles that he was going to be done, I think they would look more in the direction of Tyler Steen as a long-term solution and feel okay with Cam Jurgens only playing a little bit throughout the season. But if Jason Kelce was going to stick around, then I feel like they would want to get Cam Jurgens on the field anyway. And be like, all right, well, we got to get him some reps because it's not going to be next year. He might even, it's not going to be, next year. He's not going to take over for Jason Kelce next year. So we want to get him on the field. We want to get him playing. And then we can have another year of Tyler Steen going through another training camp as the starting right guard and then whatever. So for me, I think this shows that there's a little bit more maybe from Jason Kelce that won't be his last year there. Hey, look, it could just be Tyler Steen isn't at all ready and Cam Jurgens is 100% ready. That could be it. And likely is. But it's just an idea worth entertaining. And beyond that, just looking at this year and not thinking about beyond, I think it's the right move. I think Cam Jurgens has the mobility to play guard. I think he has the talent to play guard. And I think if you're going to have anybody try to break himself in at the guard position on a regular basis at the NFL level, I think anyone in the NFL would like to have, I don't know, Hall of Famer Jason Kelce to his left and potential Hall of Famer Lane Johnson to his right. I think that's a nice way to start the business. No? So hearing Cam Jurgens be as good as he has been to this point is great. And hearing him be the number one guy to this point is great. Hopefully that continues. One more thing that I'd like to hear from Eagles offensive coordinator Brian Johnson today is any change, any different, like what's different this year from last year's team to this year's team? What's different in Jalen Hurts, if anything? When people hear you make a critique of Jalen Hurts, I don't want it to be taken the wrong way. I love Jalen Hurts, okay? So let me just say that, and I want him to be the quarterback here for the foreseeable future, and as of right now, that's the way it looks. So here's the deal. Jalen Hurts isn't looking in the mirror, folks, and telling himself how great he is, all right? Jalen Hurts wants to get better at everything. The line from Jeffrey Lurie, a phenomenal commitment to being excellent. One of the greatest things ever said about an athlete by an owner in maybe sports, all right? Phenomenal dedication to perfection. Excuse me, that was the word, perfection. So in the pursuit of perfection, Jalen Hurts isn't looking at the mirror and going, oh, well, you're great now. So, all right, kick your feet up. I want to know if there's any little nuance, if there's any small part of the game that he's really trying to focus on. And you can hear that from Jalen Hurts, but he's probably going to tell you, I want to get better at everything. I'm curious to know what Brian Johnson is working on, or what Brian Johnson is looking at Jalen Hurts, and what Jalen Hurts is working on from the eyes of Brian Johnson. What do you think he's really trying to focus on through the offseason, through this training camp to take into the regular season that he can improve upon from last year? I don't know what that specific thing is. I think that has to come from a player or a coach's mind. From my vantage point, if I had to guess what he's going to try to get better at, is just simple decision making. That's not reading a defense. He's done that. It's not throwing a deep ball. He's done that. It's not improving on accuracy. Has certainly done that. Overall decision making. Last year, I'll point out the Cardinals game. A lot of bubble screens. That seemed to be what he checked down to time and time again. That seemed to be what he audibled to time and time again. That turned out to be his comfort zone against that defense. I don't know if he was having trouble reading the defense at that game. In that game, I don't know if they were disguising things well for him and he couldn't figure it out. And he went down to the bubble screens a lot. As the season went on, he started to get away from that. So I want to see that continue in terms of a more diverse audible, more diverse play call, and more diverse changeup, whatever it might be. I want to see if that's changed. The other thing, and it does come down, and I'm not saying he can't do this. I love that he said, I want to embrace the uniqueness of his game, and he should. One of the things I love that he does is he gets rid of the football. If he is pressured and he doesn't think he can escape, he'll get rid of the football. If he is going to scramble, most of the time, he'll go into a slide, he'll run out of bounds. That's great. I don't mind Jalen Hurts running the football. But I do think there are two things that are going against him in the eyes of the national media. The number one thing, and I've said it many times, is just that he hasn't been around long enough. He hasn't been around long enough as Josh Allen to get the respect of a Josh Allen. He hasn't been around as long as Joe Burrow. That's why a lot of people have Joe Burrow above Jalen Hurts. For me, it's still Patrick Mahomes and Jalen Hurts. So that's where I'm at in that whole situation. But I think for the national media, he has got to do it longer. One great year does not make a quarterback. So do it again, and then again, and then again, and then again, and then you'll get the national, respect. So that's what you need to see from Jalen Hurts. The second thing you need to see from Jalen Hurts is the passing numbers. And I know that a lot of people scoff at that because he is a more versatile quarterback than that. He is a more unique quarterback than that. Again, Jalen Hurts will embrace the uniqueness of his game, and he should. I do want to protect him, and I don't want to see him hurt, and I don't want to see him get hurt on a scramble. And I know most of the injuries happen in the pocket. Well, most plays happen in the pocket. So what are you telling me when you say that? For Jalen Hurts, if he can find a way to trust his running backs more, if he can find a way to have the first read where the play is literally a pass out of the backfield, maybe bringing in DeAndre Swift is not just a way to help your offense in general gain yards, but maybe it's also a way for Jalen Hurts to protect himself a little bit more. Maybe it is the screen game coming back to the Eagles, as we talk about every single year, but hardly ever see it. They were running bubble screens yesterday in practice. That's not news. That's something they should do. But maybe that play where Jalen Hurts is getting rid of the football and avoiding pressure, avoiding getting hit, maybe that's a good idea. Maybe wheel routes are a nice thing to help Jalen Hurts get rid of that ball quicker. And that's not a huge glaring problem on his game. I'm simply talking about it as a way for him to not worry about a read option, for him not worried about holding onto the football and running around the end and trying to make a play. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm just talking about simple play design, where the idea is for him to not have the football in his hands. It's the same concept as, hey, maybe not line up in an RPO. Maybe not run an RPO. Oh, well, our run pass plays, well, what happens is, you hear this all the time from Nick Sirianni. You heard it from Shane Steichen. Well, we script the run, but then, they elect to pass because that's what the defense gave you. Well, okay, if the defense keeps on giving you that, maybe you change it up for a second to make sure your quarterback isn't running the football or getting hit. Maybe you, call a run play. Take away the option part of it. And just do this. All right, ready? Run. Let's do that. Line up under center. Single back. Hand it to a guy like Rashad Penny. See if he can break through the line. Maybe a guy like DeAndre Swift bounces it to the outside. Maybe you run a stretch play. Maybe you run the 12 personnel. Maybe you do something like that. I don't know. Well, I do know. That's how you can protect a quarterback. Oh, RPO. Gotta live and die by the RPO. Okay, well, I did. How about this? How about how about this? How about maybe be as versatile a play caller or play designer or game planner as Jalen Hurts is a quarterback? Just a thought. If your quarterback is very versatile and he's embracing the uniqueness of his game, then maybe be a little bit more unique with your play calling. Maybe be a little bit more unique with your design and game planning. Because as we know, Nick Sirianni through the week is doing the game planning, of course, with everybody on the same page. Great communication. There's that word again. And that's all great. But maybe bring that same type of diversity and versatility to your play calling and game planning. And that'll help Jalen Hurts stay healthy for an entire season. It's not just on Hurts to improve. It's on everybody else improving the offense around him. I think Howie Roseman has put some pretty good talent around him. Now it's a matter of your new offensive coordinator and your head coach making sure they have great plays in place to protect their quarterback and put him in the best possible position, not just to make a play, but also stay healthy. That's on the Eagles. Jalen Hurts can only do so much. Be as diverse and versatile play caller and game planner. And that'll help protect Jalen Hurts for an entire season. That's some of the differences I want to see in this year's offense. It's not just on Jalen Hurts. It is on the rest of the squad as well. Let me tell you about Steven Singer at Steven Singer Jewelers. Oh, wait, hold on. Pots and pans, ladies and gentlemen. I got to get to this about Jalen Hurts. One more note about Jalen Hurts. Did you guys see the story? And it's kind of creepy, actually. I don't mind. What's the word? I don't mind people that take photographs of people in public, like public figures, for instance. Like if Jalen Hurts is at your store and somebody takes a picture of Jalen Hurts, whatever. It's weird, but I mean, I think that just is kind of the deal. People want to take your picture. They want to have something they feel is important. That's fine. The phone is such a private thing. I forget the comedian that does a riff on it, but it's just like, it's like if you really want to test the love in your relationship, just ask to borrow your person's phone, your partner's phone. Just can I see your phone for a second? Oh yeah, just give me a second. Delete. Here it is. The phone has become such a private thing. Okay, and for the record, my wife and I, we share our phones. So I have no problem. My wife says, "You got to borrow your phone?" I'm just like, "Yeah, take it." It's the burner phone that I'm worried about. No, I'm just kidding. So anyway, it's such a private thing. So Jalen Hurts has his phone out, and somebody takes a picture from over his shoulder, and he's of his phone. Now, there was nothing incriminating on the phone, but it's still a private thing. So I feel like you're peeking through somebody's window when you do that. All right. And Jalen Hurts is like not even paying attention, and somebody takes a picture. But the picture they got was Jalen Hurts walking off the field at the Super Bowl. In case you forgot, they lost. Okay. And Jalen Hurts is walking off the field, and the confetti's flying for the Kansas City Chiefs as he walks off. And that apparently is his lock screen. That apparently is his background on his phone. What kind of sick pup puts like the worst day of their professional career on their phone? I'll tell you who. A sick pup that's motivated. I love it. I love stories of guys that lose the Super Bowl and they sit there in the confetti and they just watch because it makes them want it more, you know? I want to be able to see it. That's what I want right there in front of me. That's what I want. Next year, I want that. The year after, I want that. I love that. And to me, a guy that basically saves the photo on his phone, every time he looks down, it's a reminder. Oh, yeah. That's the guy I want as my quarterback. Just another reason why I want Jalen Hurts as my quarterback. That type of mindset, that type of mentality. Let me tell you right now about the great people at Steven Singer and Steven Singer Jewelers. The other quarter of 8th and Walnut, right there on Jewelers Row. For over 40 years, Steven's been in the love business in Philadelphia, helping people get engaged and fall in love. Steven Singer Jewelers, one place, one price. Home of the perfect price. While other jewelers are marking things way up just to mark them down a couple of bucks in front of you, make it feel like you're a great negotiator, great haggle. Wow, forget it. No. Forget about that pressure. Forget about that haggling. Steven Singer Jewelers, you sit down, you get treated like a real family member at the other corner of 8th and Walnut, and you feel like you're being taken care of. Steven Singer Jewelers, one place, one price, the perfect price. Online at IHateStevenSinger.com. That's IHateStevenSinger.com. Let me tell you about Manscaped, the leader in below-the-waist grooming. For over 4 million men worldwide trust Manscaped and their skin-safe technology. They love the Platinum Package 4.0, which is their biggest and best hygiene bundle yet. It includes their Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer as well as their Weed Whacker ear and nose hair trimmer. And yes, they come with skin-safe technology that helps you reduce the risks of nicks so you can manscape with confidence and comfort. So check out Manscaped at manscaped.com. How about PHL Sports Nation, Philadelphia Sports Nation, enhancing your Philadelphia sports fan experience across all social media and blogs? That's phlsportsnation.com. How about Freestone Farm CBD? FreestoneFarmCBD.com. You'll love their tropical tasting Bayox that clocks in at a chart-topping 24.1%. And Super CBD, which is half Hindu, Kush, and 21%. Genetics of these guys are off the charts. So try Freestone Farm CBD at FreestoneFarmsCBD.com. Let's get into the chat check, ladies and gentlemen, see how we're doing here. Darius Young, what's up? Regular season baseball makes me want to sleep. Even with the pitch clock? I love the pitch clock. Pitch clock's great. You know what you need next? Robo umpires. As fast as humanly possible. You need robo umpires. Who else we got? Sean Kilrain, what's going on? April, good morning. Feel bad for the people that got their orders canceled. I would be so mad. Yeah, what the hell happened with the Kelly Green cancellations? I don't know, but I know people are furious. Sean Gillespie, good morning. Mike Fuji, good morning. Mark, you good people. Happy Tuesday. Who are the Phillies trading for? Who got their Kelly Green jerseys? A lot of people got the Kelly Green jersey. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Mike Fuji, just go back to the Kelly Green for good. See, here's the thing. I always want the Kelly Green jersey to be special. I would like to see it more than twice. I'd like to see it more than twice. Maybe the Eagles will work their way up to that. I don't know, but that's what I'll hope for. Sean Kilrain, gang green defense all day. Jelly green. My Irish eyes are smiling. That's funny. Thanks for the jersey, Fuji. Oh, look at that. You got it, Kilrain. That's great. Bring on Teoscar Teoscar. Is that how you say it? Teoscar. He fits the lineup. Yeah, fills the lineup. I'm happy if they make the trade. I'm not blown away, but I'm happy if they make that trade. I don't think it's gonna have to give. I don't think they have to give up a lot. The thing that concerns me the most isn't his play. It's not his on-base percentage this year, because maybe you put him in a better lineup and all of a sudden he's a better ball player. Okay, maybe it happens. But I'm more concerned about the 6 teams are interested. So there's a market for him. There's a market for him. It means, the price is going to get jacked up a little bit. I still don't think it's going to be ridiculous, which is why if they make the trade, I'm still happy. I don't think it's going to cost you a lot. It might cost you that Muzziotti kid. Simon or Simone Muzziotti from the Miners, the outfielder that's bopping. Happy trade market, or happy MLB trade deadline day. Thank you, Mihai Sanchez. Appreciate you. Do you see Eduardo Rodriguez? I do, with Dombrowski, knowing him of his time in Boston. Farzy still on the market there. Duvall, Pham, very interested as well. April, yep. April, did you see the? April says, "Did you see the lock screen?" Yeah. Never mind. I guess you did. Laughing, crying emoji. Nakobe Dean is going to be our Sam. Wait, our Sam Mills 2.0. Giggity. Real quick, Sean Kilrain, Duvall, and Pham. I'm okay with both those guys. Eduardo Rodriguez is certainly a name that's still out there that the Phillies could be going after. I found that interesting as well. But I think one of the biggest moves the Phillies could make, and I know it's exactly what I told you I hate hearing, but it's true. Alec Bohm as your 2-hole hitter, I think, has been a long time coming. If you're not going to change the top of your order much, I think the perfect bet is Castellanos as a cleanup hitter again, even though he's been terrible for last month. Maybe the day off is much needed, the All-Star festivities, all that. Maybe this is exactly what he needed. But I think Bohm batting at the top of the order, that's been a long time coming. I'm shocked it's taken this long, but it might be the right move at the right time. And then you add that with adding another outfielder, a guy you feel a little bit more confident in that can come in and hit with some pop. Maybe it's Hernandez, maybe it's Pham, maybe it's Duvall, maybe it's Lane Thomas, whoever it might be. Those are all good moves. They're not bad moves. I don't think they're franchise-altering or saving moves necessarily. I think you're still going to have to depend on your big bucks guys coming up with big hits in clutch situations. And your 2 most clutch guys are finally getting more recognition in this lineup. Alec Bohm is a 2-hole hitter, and Bryson Stott is your 5-hole hitter. I think those are going to be the biggest, most impactful moves you can make this season. So that's up to the Phillies to make those moves more definitively. And I think that happens today. I think Alec Bohm bats second today, and I think Nick Castellanos bats fourth again. But yeah, any of those guys, I just want to see improvement. I just want to see somebody come in here and have a lot more consistency for this baseball club. Thanks, everybody in the chat. You guys are great as per usual. DK, okay, I'm getting more comfortable with the idea of not making any trades. Big names need to step up. Don't give up assets for rentals. I'm okay with the rentals. We've watched this Phillies team be very inconsistent, especially with runners in scoring position this year. 10 walks yesterday, 4 runs. 7 walks, lose. Middle game of that 3-game series in Pittsburgh. That's bad. That's not good. You need somebody driving in runs more consistently. And that has not been a thing for the Phillies, unfortunately. Let's get to the morning rush brought to you by Sky Motor Cars, skymotorcars.com. Ranger Suarez gets the start for the Phillies tonight as they look to make it 2 in a row. 6:40 start time as they kick off the month of August against the Miami Marlins. Sandy Alcantara gets the start for the Marlins. Alcantara, 4-9 on the season with a 4.46 ERA. What? But he's coming off a pretty damn good start. That one was against Tampa Bay Rays in the 7-1 win for the Marlins. He went all 9 innings, allowing just 1 run on 5 hits, issuing just 1 walk and striking out 7. Prior to that, he went up against St. Louis, took a loss. 6 innings, 4 runs, all earned, 7 strikeouts, 2 walks issued. The last time he faced the Phillies, he had himself a time. That was at Citizens Bank Park. No, excuse me, that was in Florida. It was in Miami. 6 2/3, allowing 1 run on 8 hits. He did give up a home run and striking out 5. The win against Tampa was his first win in a very long time. So look at that. So hopefully there's a bounce-back performance for the Phillies against Sandy Alcantara tonight. Ranger Suarez, of course, gets the start again tonight, 4-5 on the season with a 4.22 ERA. We are all desperately looking for June Ranger Suarez. After going through the entire month of June and what totaled out to be 6 consecutive starts of going at least 6 innings and allowing no more than 2 runs, Ranger Suarez has had a terrible month of July. So hopefully July is in the past and August is the return of June for Ranger Suarez. In every start, he at least allowed 3 runs. He allowed 19 earned runs, 20 runs in total in the month of July for a 6.11 ERA after posting a 1.08 ERA in the month of June. Fingers crossed, Ranger Suarez returns to his June form. Ladies and gentlemen, coming up a little bit later today, 8:30 as a matter of fact, I will be back in this seat with our friend Jody McDonald on Birds 365 on the Jacob Media YouTube channel. Glenn Macdow will join us at 9:20 this morning. So I look forward to that conversation as well. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. You guys are great, as per usual. Jim Hyden produced the program, did a wonderful job. My name is Mark Farzetta. I'll be back with you guys, like I said, at 8:30 today. And then again tonight for Fighting's post game here on the Jacob Media YouTube channel. And then back with you guys tomorrow as well. Have a great rest of your day, everybody. Talk to you in about an hour and a half. See you then. Bye.